Hi, everybody. This is Dr. Veronique Desonier, better known as Dr. V, and founder of breastcancerconqueror.com and the 7 Essential System. So today I'm taking the time to talk with a very special guest about a product called Haelan 951. Now, this particular product has been with me since the early 1990s, but I want to introduce Jim and then I'll get into my story. So Jim is a senior vice president for Haelan Products. He brings a background of marketing and his personal experience with integrative healing. Interestingly, Jim has his own story with being a cancer conqueror, so you'll learn about that and the impact that Haelan had on his healing journey. So he has lots of duties with Haelan. He's been a great person to work with. He's really been instrumental in providing our clients with excellent service and understanding about how important this product is for a healing journey. He's also a certified health coach, and he really is passionate about what he does. So welcome, Jim. Thanks for taking the time to talk with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
So let me share a little bit about my experience and why I'm taking the time to talk about this particular product. So in the early 1990s, I had some kind of alarm bells that went off that had to do with my ovary. And I had some blood tests that came back that were not good. And so I decided, with the help of an integrative medical doctor back then, which were few and far between, I did some intensive healing for about 3 months, and he introduced me to the product Haelan. And I took a bottle a day for over 3 months. And then we retested everything, and the scans and the blood work were clear. So that made a believer out of me. And once I understood the science and the information about this product and why it works so well, I was hooked. And so since that time, I've recommended Haelan to all of my patients, and now as the breast cancer conqueror, I still take a maintenance dose and I recommend it to our clients because of its powerful healing abilities. So Jim, let's dive in a little bit about your story. You're a colon cancer conqueror. So tell us a little bit about your story and how Haelan played a part in that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first of all, love what you do. We've just enjoyed working with you over the years and supporting what you're doing. But yeah, my journey with colon cancer was kind of interesting. So at the time I was 34 years old, and like you mentioned, my background was in marketing, and I was working at a software company with who I didn't know at the time was the son of the founder of Haelan Products. And so when I had started dealing with some kind of health issues, it was about 9 or 10 months where I just was feeling super lousy, couldn't get a diagnosis. I probably went to 7, 8 different doctors just to try and figure out what was going on. And then finally I was diagnosed with colon cancer. And when I got the diagnosis, I had remembered brief conversations talking with Jordan, who's now our new CEO, the son of the founder. And I remember talking to him, he's like telling me about what his dad does and the company and Haelan and all that kind of stuff. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna give him a call. Apparently he knows more about cancer than I do. And so I called him up. He immediately overnighted me the product. I got on it. I did the kind of an initial course of it, and loved it. I thought it was very instrumental in my recovery. My doctors were super thrilled with the progress I had made. And, he had actually, so my doctor was like, well, I'm going to do 2 years of follow-up. I think it was about 14 or 15 months where he was like, man, you're doing awesome. I honestly don't need to really see you anymore. So that was really encouraging. Obviously I did a lot of, other things, diet, lifestyle change too. And, but I really felt so strong that Haelan was very instrumental in my recovery, the recovery of my gut, my immune system, all the things that had taken a huge toll, during that journey, that when, a few years after that, he called me up. He's like, man, I need you to, I'm going to, work for Haelan for my dad. I need you to come join me And so yeah, I was all in. I mean, I was like, yes, I totally believe in this now. Let's go. So it was really cool transition.
Excellent. Yeah, nothing better than to have your work something that you're very passionate about. So what's in this little bottle that makes it so powerful? You know, soy, it's fermented soy, and soy has taken such a bad rap, and there's so much misunderstanding about, you know, the actual plant itself and the bean. So tell us, you know, why fermented soy is so effective in dealing with any type of disease, but specifically we're talking about cancer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think half of my job is distilled down to just debunking a lot of the myths behind soy that have snuck up. It's funny. Soy is pretty amazing in its natural state. The problems, a lot of them come in of what we've done to it over the years. It's genetic modification and pesticides and rushed growing and poor soil. And so there's a lot of factors that go into the problematic side of soy, that which there is in some degree because of the oils and all the stuff that you get. But if you take it back to the 1,000-year history of soy, it's a pretty amazing plant. And a lot of that is, you get a complete protein, which is pretty unique for a plant. So that's been a kind of a big staple in a vegan diet, because you get all those amino acids. But you also get a lot of pretty powerful anti-cancerous compounds. There was a study done in the early 90s that identified major anti-cancerous compounds that you find in food, and the top 5, soy had all 5.
Wow.
So yeah, it's pretty interesting. So to have that, kind of packed into one unit, one plant, the beauty of it is the synergy of it working together. Just like we know, when you're getting your nutrients, your micronutrients, your macronutrients from food, you're getting the cofactors, you're getting everything that came along with it. So you can't supplement your way out of a bad diet. Diet is so important because you get all those cofactors that help your body absorb. So the beauty is you're getting isoflavins, protease inhibitors, saponins, the phytic acid, phytosterols. You're getting all those major anti-cancerous compounds working in synergy with each other, balanced by the way that nature balanced them. But the beauty, that's just soy in general. One kind of issue you get with soy in just a raw state is it doesn't always become super bioavailable. So it can be a good food source, but from a functional food standpoint, getting those major compounds really is enhanced. The bioavailability is enhanced with fermentation. And so that's what you look at cultures for thousands of years. They've employed fermentation is just so key with soy to get to where, it's beneficial to your gut. You're actually absorbing those nutrients. So we actually, in the late 80s and early 90s was when this formula was developed. It's a unique species of soy that's extremely high in those phytonutrients we're looking for. We grow it in Mongolia at a really, really nutrient-rich soil. And then we take that organically and we take that through our proprietary nitrogen fermentation, which breaks that down a lot. And you showed that bottle, but just imagine, this is essentially the product of 25 pounds of raw soy. So visually 25 pounds is a 5-gallon bucket. So imagine that being essentially condensed down. So, when you're saying, okay, for general health, an ounce a day, that's still quite a bit because it is pretty distilled down into a powerful formula.
Wow, that's incredible. So you explained a little bit about the nutritional background. So what kind of studies do we have that actually show us how powerful this product is? And just to kind of interject here, I know that for myself, but I've seen many patients. I mean, I've been in the wellness industry over 40 years, so I've seen many patients do extremely well once they incorporated their product. this product. And in the last 10 years, I've been recommending Haelan to women with breast cancer because it has so many positive effects when it comes to dealing with hormone-related cancers like breast cancer. So.
Yeah, one of the main things that contributes to that is one of those five is the isoflavones, and specifically genistein. And getting genistein in a really bioavailable form is key. And Haelan does just a great job with that. And there's a lot of kind of misunderstandings when it comes to phytoestrogens. And you can look up a lot of studies on genistein and start to improve the overall picture that we get when it comes to phytoestrogens and their relationship to human estrogen and cancer. A lot of those myths that were kind of early 2000s starting to crop up because it looked like human estrogen. A lot of the new studies, you start looking at 2012 and later, it's showing exactly the opposite of what they thought. It's not promoting crazy estrogen. It's actually regulating its SERM, so it's selective estrogen modulating. So those new studies on genistein and the other isoflavones are kind of fleshing out what's actually happening in the body, which is typically an overall lowering of estrogen in like a breast cancer situation, and more of a regulation and a balancing in general health. But to your question about studies, it's interesting when you look at studies just on fermented soy, not even our product, the number of things that can be and are addressed are pretty incredible. I always keep this one on my desk. This was a study that was done. I think this was in 2000. I don't know. We'll have to get a link. This is 2018, and it's on foodchemistry.com. But essentially, it goes through just a myriad of benefits from anti-diabetic properties to antioxidant effects, anti-cancer effects, blood pressure, immunostimulatory, anti-inflammatory. There's even some neurological benefits. But I mean, it's pretty incredible because you're getting that kind of balanced by nature format with immune modulators. You get anti-inflammatories, you get antioxidants, all in one balanced package. It does affect a lot. Specifically, and there's tons of studies on obviously on fermented soy that you can find. Specifically on Haelan 951, even just on our website, we have several. One of the names we published under was FSWW08. That was same exact product as the Haelan 951. And we have ones on blood hematology and cachexia, which showed great improvement in cachexia, which is in late stage cancer patients, the wasting syndrome. And a lot of that's those amino acids, anti-inflammatories. So helping to put back on healthy weight is really key when in those late stages. There's some managing immunity with survival rates. There's a study on that. But then there's some interesting ones on like ovarian cancer. There was another one on prostate. And then some kind of breakout ones that happened a little bit later, like in 2011, PTSD. And that was a really cool one. Showed some incredible stuff with PTSD, the inflammation that can happen, that hormone cascade that can happen in the brain. And so we've actually even partnered with a nonprofit that helps veterans, and we deal with a lot of PTSD. And so a myriad of benefits. We've been known, obviously, since the 90s for that kind of anti-cancer benefits, but it's interesting just the immune support and inflammation, oxidation. We kind of get the gamut. We get a lot of different benefits.
And gut health too. I think I remember seeing someone's thermography scan where their gut was totally inflamed, and after being on Haelan for I don't remember how long it was, but then the next scan, I mean, it looked perfectly normal. And you talk about healthy immune system. We know that 80% of our immune system's in our gut. So if we have something to really put in lots of happy bacteria and fermented foods, then we know that our gut loves that. So let's say somebody's on a healing journey with whatever type of dis-ease. How much should somebody, what would be your recommendations for the product? I know when I was in a serious part of my healing journeys, I took a bottle a day, half 4 ounces in the morning, 4 ounces in the evening. And so what are your recommendations now?
Yeah. So when it comes to, a more extreme situation like I was in, or you were in, where you're trying to affect a, long-term recovery like that, the full bottle a day is pretty typical. And that's usually sustained for 90 to 120 days, right in that range. And usually that's kind of accompanied with some kind of blood work to start and begin. Or some kind of like gauge, a scan or whatever, because most of the time during that time, you're at least getting some kind of 90-day checkup. And usually that gives us a good gauge to say, or gives you a good gauge to say like, okay, let me keep with this a little bit longer, or let me cycle something else in. And so that's usually pretty typical, is that bottle a day. But we kind of run the spectrum down. So we do have a lot of folks who are doing just for like general health maintenance, like you mentioned. I do the same. You and I probably do a very similar, where it's just like an ounce. I mix it, shoot it back. I'm sure we'll get to this, but it doesn't taste good. And so you do just kind of get it over with. But sometimes I even mix it in, like I do a greens drink or a juice, and I'll just mix it in with that. And actually, I kind of like the way that they blend together. But that ounce a day is pretty common just on a maintenance, general health, immune support. And then we get, people in various stages maybe want to do like a month where they do 4 ounces a day. I'll actually usually do that like once a year, where I'll just kind of rev up for a month. And, especially around like this, like season change going into fall. I got 3 daughters, so they, when they're not feeling well, they're always on my shoulder. But yeah, so, we kind of have on our website some different packages, kind of curated like subscription type packages, where you could do like 1 ounce a day, 2 ounces a day, 4 ounces a day, 8 ounces a day, just depending on your needs. Sometimes with certain things, because Haelan does, do a nice detox, we usually say start slow, work up to your desired amount. Things like just one thing, we've had a number of folks with Lyme, and we usually just keep that real low, like 2 ounces a day for a longer period of time. So some things require that kind of that kind of a detox. We usually just longer periods at a lower amount. So it just depends. But yeah, like you said, that full bottle a day is pretty typical for a cancer situation. And then general health is like 1 ounce.
Cutting it back. So now I don't do it all the time, but I kind of go through spurts where I do, my shot every day. And so that brings us to the taste, why the shot? Because it doesn't taste real good. I mean, I remember the first time I smelled it in the early, yes. But there's ways around it. And you down the hatch if it's cold, and if it's, you follow it with water, it's okay. I know I've put drops of chocolate stevia in it, and it really, it makes it so much more palatable. But what are some suggestions that you make?
Yeah, so I'll mix it in with the greens drink. Like I said, we actually have a formula of lucuma, peppermint, and monk fruit. And that actually works pretty well. It doesn't take much. Usually it's kind of like 50-50 Haelan and water, and the scoop of we call it a sweet mint flavoring. That works really well. The chocolate and stevia, some people mix in some, things like that kind of help it elevate the taste. There's a few that, people have mentioned over the years that I am not ready to try. There was like an orange drink, and I just did not feel like that was going to work well. But for the most part, it's usually like a peppermint or a chocolate flavor can kind of help it. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting. After a few weeks on it, or a week on it, most people will go away from any kind of soup. They just down it and get it over with, right, and chase it. Like I usually just take it straight. I don't mind it at all at this point. And then I follow it up. I pretty much always have some kind of like matcha green tea or something like that. And I'll just take a sip of my tea, and it's it's pretty much gone. But yeah, at first it's definitely unique.
Interesting.
Yeah,
Interesting taste.
very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So hard to describe when people are like, oh, what's it taste like? It's I don't know. I can't even describe it. It's weird.
Yeah. All right, so this has been really good information, but for people who want to learn more about soy in general and fermented soy, you've got a free ebook to give away as well.
Yeah, unlocking I figured unlocking the ancient secrets of soy. This again, there's a lot of misconceptions around soy and kind of understanding the history of it, and then getting through into some of the newer studies. It's really enlightening to understand what it can do for your health. So we're excited to get that to your folks.
Awesome. I know they're going to enjoy it. So for those of you who have any questions about Haelan, you can contact support@breastcancerconqueror.com, or you can contact Jim. Where can they find you?
Jim at Haelan951.com. And then we actually have a special landing page for Dr. V's customer with a special offer there as well. So feel free to check us out there or shoot me an email directly. We're not a huge company, so we're still very personal. We are happy to jump on the phone, talk with folks. We want you to be successful. And have all your questions answered. And buying products sometime, especially as different as this, can come up with a lot of questions. So we want to definitely support that.
And I can speak from personal experience from me personally, but I know many of our clients who've had conversations with people at this company, and they're always so genuine, so positive, so encouraging, not just about Haelan, but about their healing journey in general. So love it. And I really encourage you to look into it. So thanks for your time, Jim. Looking forward to many more years of working together.
Yeah, me too. Thank you.
This is Dr. V sending you a big healing heart hug. Bye for now.